We've been told beauty fades with age, but the truth is the most stunning women don't shine because of their looks. They shine because of who they've become. If you want to know the 5 things that make a woman truly unforgettable in her older years, stay with me because it's not what you think. We often think beauty fades with age, but the truth is the most stunning women in their older years aren't defined by how smooth their skin is or how perfectly their hair falls. They stand out because of the qualities they've built over time, the wisdom they carry, and the confidence they radiate. If you've ever wondered what really makes a woman unforgettable and magnetic as she gets older, it's not makeup, money, or fashion. It's something much deeper. Confidence that doesn't need validation is one of the most powerful qualities a woman can ever carry into her older years because it shifts the entire way she experiences life and how others experience her. Think about how often in younger years people shape themselves around what others think, constantly wondering if they are enough, if they look right, if they sound right, if their choices will be accepted. And that chase for validation becomes exhausting because no matter how much you do, there is always another opinion waiting to question it. But as you grow older, when you reach a stage where confidence no longer depends on someone else's approval, you start to walk through the world differently. You no longer put your worth in the hands of people who are inconsistent. You hold it firmly in your own. That kind of confidence has nothing to do with arrogance. It is calm, steady, and deeply rooted. It's the type that doesn't need to be spoken loudly because it is already understood by the way you carry yourself. Others feel it without you having to prove it. Is this kind of self-assuredness. She no longer hides behind apologies for existing. She doesn't shrink when someone else enters the room with a strong personality because she knows her presence is enough as it is. That confidence is not about being the loudest voice or the most noticeable person. It's about a quiet inner strength that allows her to be fully herself in any space. And people sense it, they lean into it, they respect it because it cannot be faked. Validation-based confidence is fragile because it cracks the moment someone criticizes you. But self-sourced confidence is unshakable. It doesn't bend when judgment comes. It stands tall because it isn't built on the outside world. It's built from within. This kind of confidence also allows a woman to make choices without second-guessing herself into exhaustion. She no longer wastes time seeking permission. She no longer delays her happiness because she's waiting for someone else to say it's okay. She trusts her instincts. She follows her inner voice. And that freedom creates a glow that no makeup or outfit can create. It shows in her posture, in her tone, in the way she enters a conversation. She doesn't need to overcompensate. She doesn't need to chase validation. She simply lives in alignment with who she knows she is. That is what makes her magnetic, because authenticity is always more attractive than performance. And the beauty of reaching this level of confidence is that it's earned through years of experiences, both successes and failures. You don't wake up one day with it. You grow into it by walking through times where you doubted yourself, where you gave too much weight to what people thought, where you allowed their opinions to shape your direction, and then realizing that none of that brought you peace. Over time, you learn the peace is found in trusting yourself. You realize that the only person who lives every moment of your life is you. So the only opinion that must anchor you is your own. That realization is freeing, and it creates a kind of beauty that stands out in older age because it's so rare. People often talk about confidence as if it's just about believing in yourself, but the deeper truth is that it's about detaching from the need for applause. It's about knowing you are enough, even when nobody claps, even when nobody notices, even when nobody praises you. That kind of strength makes you walk into a room and not wonder if people like you, but instead wonder if you even like the energy of that room. It puts you in control of your own narrative, and that shift alone changes everything. When confidence comes from within, comparison loses its power. You don't look at younger women and feel threatened. You don't measure yourself against someone else's highlight reel because you've already discovered that your worth is not a competition, it's a constant. You've outgrown the insecurity that needs to prove something, and in doing so, you radiate a beauty that is untouchable. The world may define beauty by youth, but the truth is, stunning women in older age carry a beauty that comes from certainty. Certainty in their voice, in their choices, in their values, in their identity. It is a beauty no one can give them and no one can take away. Grace in handling life's challenges is one of the most defining qualities that sets a woman apart as she grows older, because it reflects not just what she has been through, but how she has chosen to carry it. Life does not spare anyone from pain, disappointment, or struggle, but the way you respond to those hardships becomes the true measure of strength. Some people collapse under the weight of their trials and allow bitterness to shape them, while others learn to move with grace, holding themselves with dignity even when the storm rages. This is what makes a woman stunning in her older years, the ability to face the inevitable challenges of life without allowing them to take away her peace, her kindness, or her sense of self. Grace is not about pretending things are easy. It is about choosing not to let hardship define you. When a woman develops grace, she does not fight every battle with anger. She chooses her responses carefully because she understands that not everything requires her energy. She has learned the art of pausing, the wisdom of patience, and the strength of silence in moments where reacting harshly would only bring more chaos. Grace allows her to navigate conflicts without losing herself. It allows her to disagree without hostility, to hurt without cruelty, to suffer without hardening her heart. That kind of composure is not weakness. It is extraordinary power because it shows mastery over self. Anyone can lash out when life feels unfair. Anyone can collapse under pressure, but it takes a rare strength to stand tall with calmness and dignity. Grace also shows in the way a woman carries her scars. By the time she has reached her older years, she has faced heartbreak, betrayal, losses, and failures. Yet instead of hiding them or letting them turn her cold, she wears them as proof of her resilience. People can see that she has been through struggles, but they also see that she has chosen to rise above them. Her grace becomes evident in the softness that remains in her eyes, in the way she still speaks with kindness, in the way she treats people with compassion, even when she has every reason to be guarded. That balance of strength and softness is rare, and it creates a beauty that only deepens with age. What makes grace so powerful is that it doesn't mean avoiding the storms, but rather learning how to move through them without being destroyed. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has endured, but not allowed endurance to steal her joy. This kind of grace changes the way she interacts with the world because she no longer overreacts to small inconveniences. She no longer lets criticism rattle her peace. She no longer gives her energy away to things that do not matter. Grace brings perspective, and perspective brings calm. She has lived enough life to know that most battles are temporary, that most problems eventually pass, and that no amount of anger or panic will speed up the process. That realization frees her to live with more ease and to give others the gift of that same calm energy. When you encounter a woman who has learned grace, you feel it immediately. It is in the way she listens, the way she speaks, the way she holds herself even when others lose control. She doesn't need to prove herself. She doesn't need to dominate the room. She simply exudes a sense of stability and peace. People are drawn to her not because she is flawless, but because she embodies the strength that comes from not letting challenges break her spirit. That kind of presence is magnetic, and it only grows stronger with time. Grace in handling challenges also teaches others by example. Younger women look at her and see what it means to move through life without bitterness. They see that hardships do not have to define them, that they can choose dignity over drama, patience over panic, kindness over cruelty. In this way, her grace becomes a legacy, a gift that goes beyond herself and touches the lives of everyone who crosses her path. It becomes her quiet power, her signature, the invisible quality that makes her unforgettable and breathtaking in ways that time cannot erase. A heart that stays kind and compassionate is one of the rarest treasures a woman can carry into her older years because life has a way of testing softness, of trying to harden people, of putting them in situations where kindness feels like weakness and compassion feels like an open door for hurt. The truth is, the older you get, the more reasons you collect to close yourself off. Betrayals, disappointments, ungratefulness, loss, all of these experiences can push a person toward becoming guarded or bitter. But when a woman chooses to keep her heart open, to still extend kindness, to still meet the world with compassion, even when it has not always met her the same way, she becomes extraordinary. There is something deeply magnetic about a person who refuses to let life take away their softness, who refuses to let cruelty or pain shape them into someone unrecognizable. That kind of compassion becomes the essence of her beauty. Kindness in older age is not the same as the innocence of kindness in youth. When you are young, kindness often comes easily because you have not yet experienced the weight of betrayal or the sting of repeated disappointments. But when a woman has lived through decades of hardship and still chooses kindness, that kindness carries a depth that cannot be faked. It is not naive, it is powerful. It is not about pleasing people or avoiding conflict. It is about making a conscious decision to remain generous with her spirit, even when she knows how cruel the world can be. That choice makes her stunning because it reveals strength behind the softness. Compassion also changes the way she interacts with others. Instead of being quick to judge, she has learned to pause and understand that everyone is carrying a story that cannot be seen. She has learned that sometimes the person who lashes out is the one hurting most. And instead of meeting fire with fire, she meets it with calm understanding. She knows that empathy has the power to disarm anger, that gentleness can often do more than harshness ever could. That doesn't mean she allows herself to be walked over or taken advantage of. It means she chooses to respond with wisdom and love, even when it would be easier to mirror negativity. People notice that, they feel safe in her presence. They open up around her because her compassion creates space for others to be human. Another beauty of a kind heart in older age is that it creates a ripple effect. Younger generations look at her and see that it is possible to live through pain without letting it turn you cold. They see that life may break pieces of you, but it does not have to steal your gentleness. Her kindness becomes a model, a quiet inspiration that teaches others to hold on to their humanity, even in small moments, in the way she smiles at strangers, the way she forgives when it would be easier to resent, the way she chooses to uplift instead of tear down. She leaves behind a trail of impact. Those who encounter her do not forget her, not because of her appearance or her possessions, but because of how she made them feel. Compassion also gives her a unique radiance. There is a glow in someone who carries love in their heart, a lightness that cannot be replicated by external beauty products or surface-level charm. People may not even be able to explain why they feel drawn to her, but it is the warmth of her spirit, the authenticity of her kindness that makes her unforgettable. Even in rooms filled with people, her energy stands out because she carries the rare gift of being both strong and gentle, both wise and kind, both resilient and compassionate. And kindness in older age is not only about how she treats others, it is also about how she treats herself. A woman with a compassionate heart extends that same gentleness inward. She no longer beats herself up for every mistake. She no longer carries shame for her imperfections. She allows herself to be human too. That self-compassion radiates outward because when you are kind to yourself, you naturally become more gracious to others. She understands that the love she gives to herself is not selfish but necessary, and that fullness allows her to give even more freely to the people around her. Wisdom that inspires others is one of the most striking qualities that makes a woman truly stunning in her older years, because it reflects a lifetime of lessons, experiences, and growth that cannot be found in books or borrowed from someone else. Wisdom is not about age alone. It is about what you do with the years you are given, the reflections you make, the insights you carry, and the truths you learn the hard way. A wise woman does not simply repeat what she has heard, she speaks from the depth of what she has lived, and that authenticity is what draws people to her. Her words carry weight because they are not empty. They come from someone who has endured storms, navigated failures, celebrated victories, and learned what truly matters in life. Wisdom is magnetic because it is both rare and grounding, and when a woman embodies it, she becomes a light to others who are searching for direction. The beauty of wisdom is that it is not loud or boastful. A wise woman does not need to dominate conversations or prove she is right. She simply knows when to speak and when to listen, and that balance makes her presence comforting. She understands the power of silence just as much as the power of words, and people feel a sense of peace around her because she never feels rushed to impress or convince. Instead, she offers her perspective in a way that lifts others rather than belittles them. That ability to guide without forcing, to inspire without preaching, is what makes her unforgettable. Wisdom also gives her a calmness that others notice instantly. When the world is panicking, she remains steady, not because she doesn't feel fear, but because she has lived long enough to know that most storms pass and most challenges are survivable. She has seen enough cycles of life to understand that joy and sorrow come and go, and that perspective makes her someone people lean on in times of uncertainty. Her presence reassures others that they too can endure, that they too can rise from difficulties. In that way, her wisdom is not just for her benefit, it becomes a source of strength for everyone around her. Another striking part of wisdom is the clarity it brings. By older age, she has learned to separate what matters from what does not, and that clarity makes her life simpler and more intentional. She no longer wastes energy on superficial battles. She no longer clings to relationships that drain her. She no longer places her worth in external approval. She has learned what peace looks like, and that knowledge allows her to live with a kind of authenticity that younger generations crave. When she speaks about love, loss, happiness, or resilience, people listen because they know her words are not theory, they are lived truth. Wisdom also inspires through example. It is not only in what she says, but in how she lives. She models patience in a world that rushes. She models forgiveness in a world that clings to grudges. She models gratitude in a world that always wants more. These small daily choices show others what it looks like to live deeply and meaningfully. Younger women, especially, find hope in her example because she proves that aging is not something to fear, but something to embrace, that with age comes a depth and richness that cannot be faked. Her wisdom shows them that growing older is not about fading, but about blooming into a different kind of beauty. And wisdom makes her captivating in ways that appearances cannot compete with. People may forget what she wore, how her hair looked, or even the sound of her voice, but they never forget how her insight made them feel. They remember the peace her words gave them, the clarity her advice provided, the comfort her presence created. That kind of inspiration leaves a mark far deeper than physical beauty ever could. It is timeless. It continues to ripple long after the conversation ends, and it is what makes her truly stunning in her older years. A radiant presence rooted in self-respect is one of the most captivating qualities a woman can carry into her older age because it represents a lifetime of learning her own value and refusing to compromise it. Self-respect is the quiet force behind confidence, boundaries, and dignity. And when it radiates outward, it creates a glow that has nothing to do with external appearance and everything to do with inner strength. A woman who respects herself doesn't need validation. She doesn't bend herself to fit into spaces that don't honor her, and she doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. Instead, she walks into every room with a presence that is undeniable, not because she demands attention, but because she embodies integrity, self-worth, and authenticity. That kind of presence draws people in without effort because it signals that she knows who she is and refuses to trade it for acceptance. Self-respect transforms the way she carries herself. You can see it in her posture, in the way she looks people in the eye, in the way she speaks with clarity and certainty. She does not lower her standards to be liked. She does not chase after people who do not value her. And she does not allow herself to be disrespected in the name of keeping peace. Over the years, she has learned that peace without self-respect is not peace at all, and so she protects her dignity even if it means walking away. This ability to stand firm in her worth is magnetic because so many people struggle to do it, and when they see someone who has mastered it, they admire her deeply. A radiant presence rooted in self-respect also changes the way she builds relationships. She does not tolerate toxic dynamics, she does not settle for half-hearted love, and she does not keep people around who diminish her. Instead, she surrounds herself with those who uplift, those who honor her, those who match her energy of respect. This makes her circle smaller, perhaps, but it also makes it richer because she values quality over quantity. People can sense that being in her life is a privilege, not something to take lightly, and they treat her accordingly. This raises the standard not only for herself, but for everyone around her, inspiring others to hold themselves to the same level of self-respect. The beauty of self-respect is that it isn't about pride or arrogance. It is about alignment. It is about living in a way that honors your values, your boundaries, and your truth. For a woman in her older years, this alignment creates peace that radiates outward. She doesn't feel the need to argue with everyone who misunderstands her. She doesn't need to explain herself to those committed to not seeing her. She doesn't waste her time proving her worth because she already knows it. That freedom gives her a presence that feels both calming and commanding at the same time. People notice her without her trying, because respect is always noticeable when it is authentic. This radiant presence also comes from years of learning through mistakes. A woman does not arrive at self-respect overnight. She earns it by going through times when she didn't respect herself enough, when she stayed too long in situations that broke her, when she gave too much to people who gave too little, and then realizing she deserved more. Each lesson became a step toward building boundaries, toward valuing her time, toward refusing to settle. By older age, that foundation is solid, and it shines through in every interaction she has. Her respect for herself teaches others how to treat her, and because she no longer accepts less than she deserves, she naturally attracts the kind of respect she gives to herself. The presence of a woman rooted in self-respect is unforgettable because it changes the energy of any space she enters. She doesn't have to raise her voice or demand recognition. Her mere existence commands it. There is power in the way she carries herself, and it isn't loud power, it's quiet, steady, and undeniable. It's the power of someone who has mastered the art of honoring herself, someone who has learned that self-respect is not negotiable, someone who knows that her worth does not decrease with age but deepens. That truth becomes her glow, her magnetism, her beauty, and it makes her stunning in a way that time can never take away.